So we have started a collective level of questions where we're going to talk a bit about AC's journey with Triple Ten, but mainly overall before Triple Ten and after Triple Ten, because that's what we want to learn, what happened before and what happened after. And so AC, I'm super excited for you to answer these questions. Answer them candidly, and we're gonna get to a good place. So the first one is, when you were working in film, did tech even feel like an option to you? Like, when did it become an option to you?
Not at all. Very, very different. Also, working in film, I didn't really work in film technically. I think there's a little debate. I worked in TV. I worked mostly docu-series and reality. Yeah, okay. Just a show of hands, who's worked in reality, docu? Okay, all right, cool, awesome. So that was my background. I was in entertainment for about 17 years. I did the whole LA thing. I did everything. I was an actor, I was a singer, I did auditions. I still get residual checks to this day for my acting dates, which is really nice. And then 2008 happened, economy tanked, right? We had a recession there. And I decided to go back to school and pivot. I thought, you know what, I'll just go behind the camera. Let's try it. And so I tried producing. I got sucked into reality TV, like I think a lot of people do, because there's just, at the time, there was just so much work. I was producing for about 8 to 10 years cumulatively. Some production assistant jobs in there, sure. But it was pretty rough. I think in the beginning, I always thought, you know what, as a young, in my 20s person, I thought, you know what, I want to be in entertainment. I want to, be a showrunner. I want to do all these things. I want to write and all that stuff. And then, 17 years later, I was, working, 18-hour days and hallucinating in my own house and no sleep. And I think if you're a field person or a post person and you're working a ton of hours, I think you can relate. So I was really burnt out. And 2018, I worked on a show, and my showrunner at the time, I remember we had a conversation, and she talked about her kids a lot. And she never saw her kids because she'd be traveling so much as a showrunner. She'd be traveling for months at a time, never see her kids. And I thought, I for a second, I just saw my future, like, okay, if I'm going to go the showrunner route, that's what I'm going to look like. And I thought, you know what, I don't want that. If I had kids with my wife, I want to be able to be home and spend time with my kids.
Nice.
So that was sort of the seed that was planted. Yeah.
It's a solid seed. Do you remember like the very moment when, like, oh, it was when you saw that woman? Okay. Yeah, that usually happens when you see your future quite literally in front of you. Yeah. It's kind of meta. But so what, at that point, let's start from there. What made you get to the point to discovering Triple Ten? Was it social media? Was it talking to people? What, like, networking? What was the method to your madness to getting to like the education part?
So I had that realization in 2018. I knew I didn't want to be in production for a long time. For a while, I knew I wanted to get out. And then the pandemic happened, right? Like a lot of us, everything stopped. We all sort of rethought of our career trajectory, which is what I did. And I started researching. First of all, so the pandemic happened, everything stopped. When things start to get back up again, like, I was this field producer, we were able to make these shows remotely. Like, we were able to hire, normally we would hire crew, fly them out to wherever, shoot out there, fly them back. We have to like get hotel rooms. And during the pandemic, it forced us to still make shows, but do it remotely. And so I was like producing whole shows, whole episodes in my pajamas in my living room. And I thought, why can't we just do this? Like, I don't have to be on set for 18 hours a day. I don't have to wrangle people. It's like, why can't we do? And it was much more cost effective too, because we can just hire local crew. We don't have to pay for flights, pay for hotel rooms, all this stuff. So that was like my first taste into what remote work was like, and I thought, you know what, I want to do this. Whatever it is, whatever it looks like, I want to do this. So I started researching, and I don't know, looking up the internet and looking at things from like drop shipping to like, oh, buy a laundromat, you can run it absentee, like, well, or all these things. And I thought, you know what, I want to do tech stuff. And I saw these tech influencers online. I think one of them was Alex the Analyst. There was another guy called Luke Broussard. These are like data analysts, data scientists that they started following. And these guys would do their sort of like day in the life of a data analyst or data life of data scientist. And it's like, oh yeah, I wake up out of my bed, I get into my chair, start at 9, and then like, oh, they take a nap, or like, that sounds great. They make lunch, and then, oh, I get to clock out at 4. I go to the gym, and now I thought, God, I want to do that. So that sounds great. And so I Googled like, oh, top tech jobs that make the most money or whatever it is.
Yep.
And the top 10, like half of them were data related, data scientist, data analyst, data engineer, data ops, whatever. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start there. So so I just did my searching and found Triple 10. I think I looked at a lot of boot camps, but Triple 10 is the one that worked for me at the time, I think, in terms of financially and timing wise. At the time, I think it's a little different now, but at the time, it offered a data analyst course boot camp, which is about 7 months. I think now it's BI analyst. I think that takes 5 months. 5 months. So that was what 4 months. That was that at the time, and what I did was, so I got in touch with someone at Triple 10, did some consultations, and what I did was, I was still working at the time. I was taking producing jobs, and I was planning on this. So I basically wrapped my last show, and I, as freelancers, who's freelance over here? Okay, all our TV people. As freelancers, you save as much money as you can, because if you wrap a show, you just don't know what your next gig is going to be, when it's going to be. So I had a lot of money, quite a bit of money saved, because I was pretty frugal. And I was living with my girlfriend at the time. She's my wife now. Thank you.
Congrats.
She's also a producer, by the way. She lives in post. Yeah. She works in post production. So I did it in a way where, like, yes, it was really nice. She was there to support me. I was very fortunate to be in that position where I had someone to support me. But I had money saved, and I timed it in a way that, like, okay, by the time I graduated the boot camp, if I didn't get a job, I would be screwed. Like, my savings would be gone. I had to have made it. If not, I was just screwed, So that's the kind of environment that I created for myself. Number one, it was to motivate myself, because I just know myself. I just need something to sort of push me along. And so, yeah, I graduated 2022 December, and through networking, I got my first data analyst job 2 months after, which is really fast. I know. Thank you. But I feel very lucky, because I know the job market right now is really tough in a lot of different industries. So I feel very, very fortunate that I was able to get a job at the time.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I love the storytelling. Yes, we still got claps. Wow. Oh, yeah. No, this is good energy. Love it. So beautiful. My question is to you. Well, first of all, I'd like to say, I know you said if you finished and you didn't get a job, you'd be screwed. If you can't take a bet on yourself, no one else is. Like, that is the biggest indicator. It's very rare for someone to take a bet on you when you won't even do it for yourself. So kudos to you. But what would you say, like you said, the job market's hard. You got 2 months to get that job, which was really fortunate. but you worked hard for that. So what would you say the learning curve was both in the course for you, like as someone who didn't have a tech background, and then the learning curve joining a new job market, completely different job market because it's very corporate compared to film, and it's like just a lot of different technicalities. So I'd love to hear what the learning curve was both within the course and then also in finding that job.
Learning curve. I knew nothing about data analysis. I all my experience was entertainment. I'm an entertainment guy. I love movies, I love TV. And I think watching these tech influencers definitely helped. I think something like what's his name? A data Alex the analyst would do these full 45 minutes sort of, oh, let's do this whole project together, and I would kind of do that. That was before Triple Ten. I realized that didn't work because I didn't have a structure, and Triple Ten is really what gave me a structure. And it just kind of starts from baby steps, and you kind of get along, and before you know it, you have projects under your belt. And one thing that I think is important to take away from experience like Triple Ten is learning to learn again, because again, it's like when I started doing Triple Ten, it's been years since I've been in school, been years since I've studied anything, and I think Triple Ten really kind of jump started my sort of learning muscle again, and being able to learn again, and being able to be resourceful. And trust me, Triple Ten, the boot camp, it's not easy. Like, it was really hard. There were a lot of moments where I wanted to give up, and then I reminded myself, well, do you either finish this or go back to producing, which I didn't want to do. And that was sort of motivation. So I didn't even know how to use Excel. I mean, the most I've used Excel was like locations. I don't know if you're doing like casting, you do your talent spreadsheet, right, with all contacts or whatever. And even that is like very janky, right? Now I know, formulas, and I know how to, just color code things. And for our wedding planning, it's been very, very useful. I know, like, using my Excel skills has been very useful. And it's like, my wife will start an Excel doc, and I'll clean it up, color code it, make it look nice, have drop down menus. She's like, oh my God, it's like I did a magic trick or something,
Yeah.
So that was really good. Sorry, what was the second question?
The learning curve, like getting the job.
Getting the job. Oh, getting the job. Like I said, I was very lucky.
It's corporate, right? Like,
you guys got the job. I think networking was really my superpower.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, man, I hate LinkedIn. I think it's the worst of the social medias. But unfortunately,
Got a room for LinkedIn. Nice. LinkedIn will love that.
unfortunately, it's kind of a necessity in today. It's a sort of like, especially if you want to go into corporate. So I did it. I played the game. But networking really, because when you're a freelancer, that's your thing. It's who you know. And luckily, I connected with another old friend who also used to be a producer, who became a data analyst. And took him out to lunch. We had connected, and then he referred a recruiter to me, and that's how I got my interview and got hired. So you just never know, who. I think it definitely keep your current network in mind, and even reach out to those people. They might have a sibling, a sister, a cousin, or whatever, who might be able to hook you up. But that's what I would do.
Amazing. Love that. A lot of people are here just because they want to network and start figuring out and fostering the people in their professional world so that they can start talking about their opportunities. So organically, by the way. And do you have a job? Like, I feel like a lot of us want to say that. It's like, hey, by the way, like, the market, how's it going? Like, you have openings? You just want to be direct. But also connecting, like, as humans is the best way to go about it, because then they trust you when referring you, right? Like, they actually get to know you as a person, make it like versus a cold application. That's beautiful. My last question to you is, what of any of your skills that you've developed in film as a producer, like when you're acting, whatever the skill is, when you were working in the film industry. What skill do you think that helped you stand out in the job search, or that you use just like every day in your tech job? Like what creative skills that you use still that you find helpful?
I think being resourceful was the most important skill. So, yeah, I was a field producer. I would schedule shoots. I would put together a shooting schedule, hire people, right? Like hire camera crew, audio people, what have you, grip, and then produce these shoots. Things will go wrong all the time, right? Like you go late, talent comes late, and you have to push the schedule or whatever. You hit meal penalty, and then you go into OT. And things happen all the time. And I think that is one thing that I took into my current job because, again, it's like you're kind of always being pushed into the unknown. And when things go wrong, I don't freak out. I kind of know that, like, all right, it's okay. Let's Google, let's chat GPT, let's figure something out. Yeah, and I think I'm very grateful that the people in my current team that I'm working at, there are a couple of them are new as well in the industry, and so like it feels nice to be sort of in the same boat. So it's like oh, you don't know this, I don't know this, all right, let's just figure this out together.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, like, even our managers don't know what the answer is to a certain task or whatever, and it's sort of my job to like figure it out. So yeah, very similar to producing, I feel like.
Amazing. That was great. I'm sure a lot of people are very unsure about their transferable skills when it comes to tech, and there's plenty of them that you can start advocating for once you get to that point in your career. And so it's just a very inspirational story to hear for people, because like you said, you see your future in people and you're like, oh my God, I don't want that. I want that. And people want that. So that's amazing. All right, so now it's your turn, I think.
Oh, my turn.
Yeah, you have any questions? Do you have any questions for
I
me?
do have questions for you. My question is,
I'm not intimidating, I swear. You're like, well.
so Emily, your background is, you want to talk about your background a little bit? Do you want?
Very briefly. I work at Triple 10 as a content creator, but I'm a career coach as my full-time. So this is my part-time role, and I help, like a lot of the content that I make is inspired by the education part of finding a career, tech careers. That way there's that background when I make the content, and that way it's like more informed. So I do career coaching. I help people with interview prep, salary negotiation, getting raises, promotions, anything that you want to help grow your career, I help.
Who has graduated Triple 10 and is looking? Anyone out there? Okay, we have a couple of people. What can we do? What do we need to do, Emily? Tell us what to do.
You just looked into my soul while you said that. Oh my God, what do I do? So the first thing I tell people is that the world is your oyster, and that's super cliche, so I'm going to change that. It's network beyond networking events. Get yourself out of your house, go to coffee shops, walk around your neighborhood, talk to people. I know that sounds scary, but the people who limit themselves to networking events are the ones that you're up against. And if you go beyond networking events and talk to people that are like outside of the normal scope, you're gonna develop a wider professional network. So a lot of my job opportunities, I actually intentionally work at millions of coffee shops, and I've met with lots of people who work in Silicon Valley. I live in Canada, by the way, but Silicon Valley, people who have worked at like high tech jobs. As a content creator, a lot of people see my content and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like, so my oyster is on social media. So those of you who are comfortable to post on social media, do it, because not everyone's doing it. And it's uncomfortable, and it's gonna cringe, and it's cringe mountain, but you gotta climb it. And once you're at the top, you're gonna have a job. And that's like basically the foundation I tell people is go beyond what everyone else is doing. And everyone here is at a networking event. There's several networking events happening right now, but there's not a lot of people making professional connections while they're just at a coffee shop or just walking their dog. And the best way to go about that is organically. And the second thing I would say is practicing talking about yourself without saying your job. And I know that's also cliche, but I'm sure it sounds like it in your head, but have you actually done it? It's really hard. So when you talk about yourself outside your job, you talk about your values, you talk about your work ethic. Your work ethic is so important. People don't say, my work ethic is persistent. I like to collaborate with people, and it's confident. It's like, these are the pieces of your work ethic that are apart from your skills. And if someone asks me, a lot of the time people ask me, they're like, so what do you do? And I'm like, honestly, I'm an adaptable problem solver. I literally put me in any situation and I'll figure it out. Mind you, I haven't been put in any situation that has like been life or death. So that's been good. But yeah, I always introduce myself like that. And if people inquire deeper, I'm like, sure, I'll tell you more. And that just shows more interest. It's engaging. And just like knowing yourself beyond your role, it takes your ego away from the things that, people associate with your resume. You want to associate yourself with your work ethic and your drive, and you'll be able to advocate that a lot more confidently, because it's not like a tech skill like coding where there's a baseline expectation of like, okay, so which language? Okay, let's see your portfolio. Like, these are expectations put onto you, set expectations for yourself to talk about the things that you are confident in, so that you're not bound to what people are expecting. I know that sounds a little bit meta, but you got to practice who you are. Yes, you got to practice who you are and go beyond the scope of networking events and the norm of how people get jobs, which is cold applications and networking events and LinkedIn. I get why you hate it. LinkedIn is... I try and avoid it myself. So those would be my two main pieces of advice as a general rule.
Thank you. As an introvert, not a great. I don't like to hear.
Yeah, I have introvert advice.
I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, networking is sort of going beyond what other people are doing. You're saying. Speaking of LinkedIn, is LinkedIn dead? Is LinkedIn still a good place to look for work? Are there other websites we should be applying to? What do you think?
So I think everyone should have their own website. Everyone should have like some sort of website where they can control like what they put, and that it's not like like you're not confined to the algorithm, because that just also cringe mountain. But you like that saying, huh? LinkedIn is not dead. LinkedIn has a very clear algorithm, not like Instagram and TikTok. LinkedIn is very clear about how they do their algorithm. And for my fellow introverts, there are ways to go about it where you're not putting yourself out there too much on LinkedIn, where you'll get noticed. So a fun fact about LinkedIn really quick is that there's a point system on organic posts. If you like make a post about a new job, or in this case, looking for opportunities, there's a point system. That's only one. If you comment on other people's posts, fun fact, it's like higher ranked, and you'll get more eyes on your comments because you're engaging with other people's posts. So if you see something cool, like an article about, I don't know, coding or software engineer jobs or the job market, like anything that has an interest. Like, I know for me, when I was a data analyst, which I have been in the past, I really liked retail data, like any consumer data in retail. And so whenever something happened with like Lululemon from Canada, Lululemon, or like any big company with clothing, I would see it and like look at the data, and I would see people post and I would comment on their posts, and people would see it and be like, oh my gosh, this is really interesting, and get connections. And LinkedIn really boosts that. And your network actually sees your comments more than your organic posts. So try that out for my introverts. If you're like, I don't want to make a whole organic, excuse my French, organic ass post. I would rather just like make witty comments on people's posts about my opinion. That's going to get you far. And other websites like Indeed or other job application platforms, they're about the same. I don't think that they're helpful. I think you're better off making your own website and portfolio and cold emailing people, or cold DMing people on LinkedIn. Because then you have your website, you barely have to write a message. You have a website for people to click. And you can have a portfolio on your LinkedIn for a link to your website, whether it's your portfolio or even just your story. It could be like just a landing page about who you are. You won't have to repeat it constantly. You can just send it to the person. So make your life easier and just like not repeat the same steps every time by like creating a website and using LinkedIn to comment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that those are all the questions I have.
A beauty. Beauty.